Hello, guys, and welcome to She Wolf Alchemy, another episode with Gabi and Ress. And today's topic is dating someone who hates you. So let's talk about it because some are in relationships, and the only thing keeping it together is shared rent and delusions. So, how do you know that they hate you? Hate can be subtle. It can be subtle in certain ways, such as, like, you look nice for once. Show zero effort, no dates, no emotional investment, just vibes, and always complaining. Seem annoyed by your presence, like existing is a personal attack. Have you experienced this?
I have never someone I dated seriously, but you know what? When I was younger, I definitely have. I think about this guy who, yeah, oh, I might have to edit his name out. But yeah, I remember this guy I dated when I was like 19, and
Mhm,
we were friends first,
mhm.
and he looked like Lloyd Banks. I don't know if y'all remember Lloyd Banks back in like 2006, but like, yeah. And then I don't know if I would say hate me, but like, yeah, no. I remember just like because we were friends, and when we were friends, it was cool. But then when we started like dating, it was like zero effort. It was like, yeah, it was like zero effort. It was like he wanted to go off vibes. And like, don't get me wrong, we were going on dates. I remember we went to Kings Island. Would go out to eat and stuff like that. However, like I remember like being excited, like, oh, you're gonna come this weekend? Cause like we lived in different cities. I was on campus, and he was living in my hometown. And like I would get excited, like, oh my gosh, you're gonna come see me or whatever. And he'll just be like, yo, chill. Yeah. I don't understand. Yeah, I'm gonna come see you. And like I would just be like, he's so complicated and dark. He got so much trauma. Mm. And the thing that made me notice it though was like, because again, remember we had been friends for a
Mhm.
while, and I realized like I because we were friends, like I didn't really know too much about the people he dated because we lived so far away from each other for most of our
Mhm.
friendship. So like there was a lot about his like dating life and stuff that I wasn't like so keen on. And I remember hanging out with his friends and realizing like, oh no, he knows how to act. Because I'm hearing like, oh, you I'm hearing stories about how this is how you act when you were sprung over this person. I'm hearing stories about like, oh, you was the one like begging to spend time with them.
Mhm.
Like you was, and I had a like it kind of like hit me like, oh, you're able to do this. And I think for me with that situation, it was a matter of because girls, and I hate to say this, don't convince yourself just because y'all are friends first that they won't play you. And that's what happened to me. I was 19, but I had convinced myself, like, because he's my friend, like, we
Mhm.
haven't even started this because why worth risking the friendship? And we have been friends for several years. Like, we have been friends since I was 12. Like, deep, sharing deep, dark secrets, crying on each other's shoulder type stuff. And so in my head, I'm like, I wouldn't risk anything like that unless I'm like, yo, I think you're the one.
Yeah.
I would not risk just having fun in a fling with somebody I really, really care about like that. And so I had assumed he would think the same. Nope, not at all. And just showing up, I feel like you can start to feel like I am begging for your attention and time. I found myself like plotting and doing stuff to get him to show he cared. And you should not have to plot to get somebody to do something and be like, yeah, see, he cared. And
That
when
part.
I found myself like feeling like I had to plot stuff out, and I realized like, hold on, this man know how to act. Like it's not just, oh, he's so traumatized and let me blah blah blah. It cured me of that. Never again. I was like, oh, okay, okay, nope. We are going based off of what you show me every time. I don't care what you say, because that's also another thing I think you got to be wary of with these type of situations. I think for some
Mhm.
people, it's like, girl, how did you not know this man did not like you? How did you? Because they will still sit there and feed you delusion.
Because it never starts off that way either.
Yes.
It never starts off that way. Once they got you, you be like, "This is not the person that did everything to try to get me." Like, I'm so confused.
And and here's the thing, like, and when they start off like real, like, no, I really like you, I'm digging you, let's do this, blah, blah, they take you on dates, blah, blah, blah. And then they pull back, usually they give you excuses. And because you're
Yep.
already like in love, you want to believe those excuses because I don't want to give up. I don't believe in that anymore. I believe in giving up. But back then, it was like, I don't team give up. You're not gonna try for us? Nah. But
I'm total opposite of that.
I know you are. I know. I mean, you can't talk about love too long together.
No, because you know me, I'll make you mad. Like, Gabby, let it go. I just can't let it go because I just don't understand. Like, I'll be seeking understanding and the understanding be long gone. Like,
Look, y'all don't know how many times a month I send Gabby, like, I mean, I still got ski masks. What you trying to do? They know.
now I'm down to ride. Don't get it twisted. But my
you be
crazy
changing your
days,
mind. I be booking flights. Like, I got
like that.
you. Like, no.
Because there was one I was ready to pull up on. If you know, you know. Like, Miami was about to see me, and that's all we gonna say. But I'm in a better space now. So
I still got hate for that man. You got me having beef with this whole ass man I have never met.
he's not existent no more. I don't talk to that man no more. Like, he's high five because that you talk about toxic, baby. Toxic. Who don't want to be with you but don't want you to go nowhere is insane to me. That is a very interesting space to be in. That
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I
Um,
can say.
but like going back to what we were talking about, like, yeah, you're
Mhm.
right. They will kind of start it off that way. And then because you have like this history built up, when they pull back, you're like, oh, they're going through something. I just need to show
Mhm.
more effort. Oh, blah, blah, blah. And so to everybody else, it feels very like obvious. But it's
Mhm.
like, no, y'all got to remember at one point I was getting all this. And then again, I think the thing for me in that situation is you were still feeding me delusion. So when
Yeah.
I am just like, hey, we ain't seen each other in like 2 weeks, it was just like, yeah, because I'm tired. My mom been always trying to kick me out, and it was just like, because
Always
again, fine, I'm
excuses.
19, so I'm just like, yeah, no, you do gotta have, because Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you gotta have shelter first before we can work. So okay, yeah, yeah, and so it like, and especially when you're young. I know most of our listeners are like our age. Most of our listeners are
Mhm.
like 30s and 40s. We got a couple little 19-year-olds, 17-year-olds in there. And I just wanted to say, y'all, if you want to save yourself like 5 years of lessons, stop giving people too much benefit of the doubt.
Just have fun. Just have fun. Don't take nobody serious until somebody comes and shows you something different and they're worth being taken serious. Because if a person wants to be taken serious and a person really does like enjoy you,
Mhm.
you'll know it. You'll definitely know it.
I do want to say this is kind of a side note though. Yes, you can meet people in your early 20s, in your teens, it can work out. However, like you grow so much
You
as a human
do.
being from the age of like 20 to 30 that like getting like it's so funny to me because I had two episodes back to back with Nick and Ashley about kids. And sometimes I forget how young I was when I had Kari. Like I forget that like because in my head, 25 is like, oh no, I was 25. I was getting my master's. I had a career, da da da. And then I talk to 25-year-olds now. And I was
They are not they know
I
nothing.
was like, I was probably immature as hell. I'm like, I was not ready to be somebody's mother. Like that was wild as hell. But I also think about it because I had my daughter when I was 25. So like I was engaged when I was 24. And I think about
Mhm.
how wild that is. Like you were not ready. He was 30, but like for me, it's like, let me just give y'all a brief history of what my life would have been like. If I married the person who I loved when I was 18, I would be a gangbanger's wife right now. Whole gangbanger. Okay. Not a successful one,
Oh my God.
but like I couldn't wear blue for like 2 years. Like that would have been
What? Don't have done the fuck with you. Oh my God. Wait a minute.
if I married a person who I was like in my early 20s, I would definitely be divorced by now. Not only would I be divorced, I would be divorced, and I probably the way I would have definitely have fought his brother by now. Like
Oh man.
the way me and his brother would have definitely fought. The way I would not have been able to pursue my dreams the way I wanted to. even the person I dated in my late 20s, there's no way I would have had a podcast. There's no way I would have a podcast. Anyways, I say all that to say, like, you go through so many changes.
You do.
Anyways, I digress. So, Gabby, going back to the topic, have you ever dated someone that, like, in hindsight, like, oh, this man hate me?
I would say it was close to very last relationships with, I don't say his name, I call him the devil because he's the devil.
Baltimore.
So, mhm.
Baltimore. I refer to him as Baltimore. I refuse to remember that man's name. Every time you remind me, I'd be like, oh, I do hate all men with that name.
I'm gonna say this disclaimer. Some of you don't know that led me to being in a very unsafe domestic violence relationship, but luckily I have really good supportive friends and family that I was able to get out of that. Very thankful because some people do not make it out. And in this day and time, if you're ever in a domestic violence relationship, I pray that you are able to make it out because they're not easy. But he fucking hated me, and I'm not trying to drop the F-bomb. He hated me with a passion. I've never been love bombed. That's the new terminology. He would love bomb me. I got a whole car for this man because he made me feel guilty.
Oh God, I forgot about that era.
Yes.
Oh,
okay. Exactly.
Oh, God,
exactly.
I hated that era.
Exactly. And yes, yes.
I remember
Like,
when you called me and told
yes.
me.
Yes.
Oh, I was so pissed at you.
And I would say never, I was young and the car is gone, paid off, whatever. Never do that for a man. I would never do that for anybody except my husband because that's my husband. But other than that, I will never in my life do that again. That man made me feel so guilty. And it's crazy because like all this stemmed from a relationship that I really do blame it for. I was with another guy who I had known since 6th grade. Me and him dated for a very long time. We broke up in high school, kind of off and on, and then went 6 years without talking and somehow met up again and ended up dating when I was getting my master's. And long story short, he started hating me too. Like it was crazy because like we went from you did everything to get me to now all of a sudden you're not telling me about your football games. You're not communicating with me. You want me to do your homework, but you're not calling. You're not visiting. You're not anything. And his family even got shady. I thought his family was fine. My mother was the one who realized that, like, oh, they normally come down to the car and talk to me. She's standing on the porch, kind of that distance. And I still wasn't putting two and two together.
And they don't want to get weird, so they start moving weird.
He would just tell me, like, oh, like, you're not sending me money. You're not doing this. Like, he had a way of making me feel guilty, too. Long story short, he ended up getting another girl pregnant and did not want to tell me. And then try to play with my mind and be like, oh, it was before I met you. The girl was 7 months pregnant. How did we break up within the set? Like, that's crazy. But that one relationship led me to the other two relationships that could have been avoided, that I was never, ever supposed to be in, but I went in them because I was so heartbroken. So make sure you always heal yourself before you jump, and make sure you actually know who you're dating, because sometimes you get in these situations and you really do not know who you're talking to. And then when something happens and you're like, did this just happen? Oh my God, what do I do? It's too late. It's too late. It's a lot of my success that has to do with it. And sometimes they get upset about that because their life never panned out like that.
So what was it? Was it like the no show of effort? Was it just seeming annoyed by your friends?
So it was more so with all three of them. Only one, which was Brandon, the crazy one. Brandon would take me on dates all the time. Like, it's crazy because my relationships with him started like dates. He would do cute things, get me flowers, all types of little things. Where Raymond, we never went on dates. He was never emotionally invested. Jamar was never emotionally invested. I'm the one who paid for him to come to DC. I'm the one who paid for him to come to my 21st birthday in Miami. I'm the one who did all that. He didn't even have no money to give me a birthday gift.
Okay, so like, but why does this happen? Because like we talked about, a lot of times it does not start like this. Now, some people it does. I have definitely seen and witnessed some relationships where it was just like, I don't even know how y'all got together because it never seemed like it was giving, I love you, I want to be with you. It felt like one of y'all annoyed the other into a partnership. But how does this typically happen? So, like, one of the ways it can happen is that simply they settled. I think, especially again, when it really wasn't even like a love bombing situation, they were always kind of treating you like a bugaboo. They're always kind of like, touch me not type feels about it. They were always kind of just low effort from jump. Uh,
Mhm.
it can be they settled. And I feel like I need to explain this because I think sometimes we hear that and we take that as an offense to ourselves, like, oh, I'm your settlement. But settling just means like convenient for them. It doesn't mean that you are low grade. It doesn't mean that you aren't worthy. It just means that it was convenient for them. And sometimes they just don't want to put in effort. You're there, you like them. So they're like, oh, okay, well, I mean, I might as well do this. And
Yep.
this one, I feel like when this one happens, it feels like they get mad at you over
Mhm.
time for like you not being their dream person. And
Mm.
I will say I actually have done this myself where I did like I was with somebody who was a great person, but I knew they weren't my person. But I was just tired and they were a really great person. And that's exactly what ended up happening. I slowly just started to resent them because
Mhm.
they weren't who I knew they weren't from the beginning. Like from the beginning, I knew you weren't as ambitious as I would like. From the beginning, I
Mm.
knew you were very comfortable with like a very simple life and was very comfortable with things that like I wasn't comfortable with. I knew from the very jump, like we weren't really that compatible. You were just really nice and put in a lot of effort. And that's exactly what happened. I just slowly started to resent them. And it wasn't their fault. And this
Right.
I think is especially horrible because this can really hurt a person's self-esteem because
Mhm.
I am putting all my effort and you just seem so bored and over it. You just seem to not care. You just seem like you're making my very best feel like it's nothing. And
Mhm.
I think that's what happens sometimes. I think one of the other ones that can happen is that sometimes you meet people and they just enjoy having that power.
Yep.
They like that it turns them on. It's fun for them to see you try to give them your everything and them just like brush it away and then you try harder. For some people, it's a whole your whole relationship is an ego trip. It
Yep.
feels good to see. And here's the thing, again, I think sometimes we hear this and it hurts our ego because it's like, so like I'm nothing, like I'm just not, but it's not even that. Sometimes there are men out here, especially in Atlanta, y'all be careful, that love getting a bad bitch to act out a character for them. They love getting that untouchable girl that everybody want and dogging her out. It is a whole ego thing. It's not about you not pretty enough, you're not smart enough, you're not that girl. There are men out here. I mean, think about how many celebrities we can think of, top of their field, absolutely beautiful, absolutely smart, absolutely incredibly talented, that had the hugest cheating scandals in the world. And you're like, you got everybody's dream girl.
And they be with a regular bitch too. That's the crazy part. Sorry.
No. I mean, it's not even just like a regular, like it don't have to be regular. There's really some people that enjoy the power dynamic. They enjoy being able to knock somebody off their feet. It doesn't even have to be like, oh, because I'm not pretty, I'm not smart, I'm not that girl, I'm not. Some purposely are try to get that girl just to do that very thing. It validates them.
Mhm.
That I can embarrass, I can hurt the person that everybody else would give their left toe to be with. And she over here acting a fool for me for the free. And I just treated her like it's nothing.
So another reason is they're using you. Maybe it's money, stability, or just not wanting to be alone. They don't love you, but you serve a purpose. So when I think of that, I do think back of one of my. It's interesting because me and this specific person, we're actually kind of cool now. Like we're not. He actually told me like if I wish I met you at this age because we probably would have made it. But when we dated, we were just super young and super immature. And I chased after him. That's the funny thing. But he's only dated white girls in his life. He's never dated a black girl before. Like I would go spend the night with him, all types of stuff, knowing damn well that he did not like me like that. And so then when he broke my little heart, was like, I told you I didn't want a relationship. I was just like, I would be in my room listening to Dondria, upset. I was like, what? Like, make it make sense.
Uh,
So summer came, I transferred back home, and me and this person got serious. Like he was coming from Cincinnati, picking me up in Louisville and driving me back up there for the weekend. Like he really put in the effort. And then I became his girlfriend. We dated for like 2.5 years. We actually moved in together. He was one of the first people I got my first apartment with. but then he lost his job and he started talking to some girls on Facebook. And I got embarrassed because one girl didn't have no teeth. Like, like how? And when I look back at it, I'm like, when I think of they're using you, I was stable. I worked 2 jobs and I was going to school. He wasn't even in school no more and got fired from the job that I helped him get. So, and he didn't want to live at home. So when I think about stability and I think about money and I think about his excuse was, I'm always at work and he's at home bored.
I just
And that's the part. So I forgave him, said he wouldn't do it no more. I actually sent him to live with his mom, whatever.
mm,
We moved to another apartment. He wasn't gonna move with me, but I was like, all right, we can give it another try.
mm,
My mother caught him cheating. And this time it was a family thing. Like he's out with the family with the white girl. And my mother, and they're dressed alike and everything. And my mother called me and was like, weren't you at the game? And I was like, oh, such and such said that he was with his family. They didn't have any extra tickets, that he wanted to go, whatever. I helped him pick out his whole outfit. And he's at the game with another. She's like, I just want you to know that he's here with another girl. I said, oh. So what did I do? I got on his computer and I started investigating. I sure did. And I found emails. And his name is a certain way. And him and his dad have the same name, but it's changed by one letter.
mhm.
He tried to say his email was his dad's email, but it can't be his dad's email because his dad's email starts with an M.
Yeah.
Your name starts with a C. So, long story short, we ended up breaking up and he didn't come home that whole weekend. And I packed his stuff and kicked him out. And that was the end of that era.
Mhm.
Because I'm now at 33 at this age, I understand what it means dating somebody on your level. When I think of what things that I want, I think of like stability. I think about what I can learn off you
Mm.
because I'm not looking for somebody who I'm doing all the work. Like I'm not looking for that. At this point, I would love to be taken care of. It's not taken care of financially, but like you can take care of me in other ways. Then do some of the things that I don't want to do. So just don't use the reason of, oh, they don't want to be alone. Like, no, leave them alone.
Leave 'em.
Leave them alone.
I feel like every time you talk to me about an ex, I gain a new enemy, and I'm just sitting up here getting so pissed off. Like I'm just up here like he did what? Because I knew some of the details because this was before we met, but like I didn't know all
Uh-huh.
the details.
Yeah,
I'm
this is
just
one of the
like,
ones before we met.
and
And
you
I am
and
that
Neek
girl.
especially, you and Neek are so forgiving that when y'all be just be telling me stuff, and I'm like, and so he
I
said,
am
sorry,
that girl. I am
like
very cool with a lot of my exes. Like we just cool. Like I just, especially if I dated you like in my teens, all the way like to 21,
yeah,
22, like we cool. I don't hold no beef. Why? Because those relationships, I do believe you are young and your mind is not as mature as it is now. I realized at this big age, I'm not as forgiving as I was back then. And I was a little more forgiving. I'm not gonna forgive you now.
I just separate. Like I'm so
Yeah.
good about my block and going about my life,
Mhm.
especially at this age. Like Nick was
Yeah,
telling
this
me
age
that
is
the other day
different.
too about iPhone memories. I'm like, no, because I delete their pictures immediately. I delete the memory. What do you mean? Do I remember this with this person?
Oh, that's so funny.
It's okay. Can't do. I deleted all of Facebook one time after a breakup, and I've never been back. I ain't been on Facebook in like 8 years because of a breakup where I was just like, you know what?
I've had the same
Like,
Facebook since high school.
the way I will delete and change my whole life and go about my day.
Like I never existed.
Never. What's
Another
another
one
one?
is they think you won't leave. If you
Mm.
tolerate the disrespect, they assume you'll keep taking it. So we got to get deep a little bit. So Brandon, because I'm gonna say his name regardless. So Brandon, he actually thought I wasn't gonna leave because we were just so entwined. Like as far as like, and when I say that, like I could not even breathe. Like, like I literally would go to work and come home. That's it.
This was
Like
the
it
era
was.
where I never heard from you. Like you would send text messages every now and then, but it was so hard to get you on the phone during that relationship.
Yes, it was very bad because he had my phone. I didn't even have a phone. I was literally talking on my iPad and he would literally monitor my messages.
Mm.
And it was that bad. And I've never been with somebody that controlling. And I didn't know How do you tell your friends you're in a domestic violence relationship? How do you tell how do you tell the people you care about that this is what's going on? So you try to hide it. The
Mm.
cops have came to my house 3 times and I have literally hid it. Like it just was that bad. So he didn't think I was gonna leave. The day I did leave, I ended up in the hospital, and that's really pretty much what happened. I looked at my best friend and I told her, "Tell my mother everything. Just go ahead and tell her," because my mother, if you know me and my mother are very close. I am an only child. That's my girl. We're very, 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 very close. So she knew something was going on because I really wasn't talking to her, but she just didn't know what. So my mom's very intuitive. She was like, "Well, I got some vacation time and I'm coming up there to stay for a couple days. If you know domestic violence, that's not gonna work. Like that's just not gonna work." So I didn't want her coming up there. So what I did was I was like, "No, like, you need to come out." She's like, "No, I'm coming up there. I'm coming up there to stay." So the day before she was supposed to come, it got real bad. I ended up in the hospital and I just told my best friend, like, just tell my mother everything. So she actually called my mother. I was at the hospital and my mother FaceTimed me. And I know you're not supposed to laugh, but me and her are so goofy. We just start smiling at each other. Like, we're like, she's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm okay." She's like, "Is he there now?" I'm like, "Yes." My mother also is a social worker, so she start calling the hospital, and she's like, "That man is abusing her. Like, y'all need to get in that room because he did not leave my side. Like, he was in that hospital room with me." The doctor came in and was like, "You need to leave. I need to talk to her." He came back to the hospital room 3 times, and then he ended up going back to the apartment. And my best friend and Michelle, they were both at the apartment packing up my stuff,
Yeah.
and they brought my stuff to the hospital. And so from the hospital paid for me to go straight to the airport because my mom bought a ticket. And that's how I ended up in Miami from DC. And I remember him calling me and being like, he was crying, throwing himself on the floor, like, "Please don't leave. Like, you are not you supposed to be here. Just get on the train, just come back. Like, I won't do it no more." Da 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 da. I remember crying through the airport because I did not want to leave this man. I felt so bad. Like, how do you feel bad about somebody who's putting their hands on you? That's crazy. Because I already my heart of hearts knew that I thought I could protect him and keep him safe, but it wasn't on me no more. So I left. Kept telling myself, if I get on this plane and they shut the door, there's nowhere I can go. That's literally, I kept telling myself that. I get on the plane, they shut the door, there's nowhere I can go. There's nowhere I can go. There's nowhere I can go. I do believe in angels and I do believe people come a dime a dozen because there was a lady on the plane. I never forget her, and I'm probably looking all crazy. She's like, "You want some chocolate?" And I was like, "No, I'm okay." And she actually was a doctor and doing her doctorate training. Like, I don't know what kind of training, her clinicals or whatever, but she was doing whatever she needed to do to be a doctor. And I remember sitting on that plane and asking her, "Can I use her phone? Because I needed to call my mom." And I ended up just telling her what happened. And she looked at me and she said, "You're going to be okay." She's like, "Go down there and get loved on by your mother." Walked me through that airport, waited for me until my mother came, and even follow up with me after like probably like a year. Cause I got in therapy and did therapy for like 3.5 years because I had to change my views on love.
Mm.
It was a very rough time, but I overcame it. But that's that piece where they think you won't leave.
Mhm.
And if I didn't have a really good support system, I don't think I would have left. I think I probably would have stayed in it a little longer.
Mhm.
The only thing, and this is crazy, I sometimes do regret not going back to DC and just gaining that resilience of not dealing with that person, but I don't think I would have been mentally as strong to not deal with him. I think I would have still kind of been in it. It definitely did help putting some distance into it. I will say, shout out to DC courts because I had to go back to court. I have an indefinite restraining order against this person. And on top of that, they actually paid for me to relocate. They paid me almost $3,000 in my first month's rent, last month's rent, so I could even get a place in Miami to survive. So in the end, it definitely did all work out. I'm very thankful for it, but the disrespect just got too much. No man should put their hands on you. I don't care. Like, you should not have to, they should not raise their voice. Do not tolerate no type of disrespect, whether that's cheating, whether that's money, children, baby mamas, anything. Do not let men disrespect you because at the end of the day, If you let them take it there, it will happen over and over and over again. And it becomes a very sick cycle, and you end up losing a sense of yourself. So just take care of yourself and don't be afraid to leave. It's hard to leave. You find yourself hurt. You find yourself overthinking, trying to figure out the whys. Try not to overthink and worry about the whys. Really try to just figure out who you are or where you're going and who you want to be.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we're going to move on.
Hold on, hold on. No, but I'm thankful for you for sharing that story because I think a lot of times for women, especially I think especially when you come from a certain type of background, when you are at a certain type of status, it feels like this should not be happening to me. Like I
Mhm.
grew up around this. I didn't, there's nothing, there's
Girl.
statistics that makes it seem like, okay, this happens to this subset set of women. This shouldn't be
Right.
happening to me. And a lot of times people feel ashamed about it. And so they don't tell anybody. And it's harder to move away when you don't have that
Mhm.
support. It's harder to get loose. And I remember the first time you told us, because like you said, we didn't know. A lot of us, I think your best friend knew because y'all used to live together and she was there,
Mhm.
but the
Yeah.
rest of us was out of state. And it was
Nobody knew.
hard because like we were like, something weird is happening. Like, girl, why we whispering? Why are we talking whispering? Like, why do I only talk to you on your commute? Why are we talking only when you're at work? Like there was so many
Mhm.
things, but we didn't know. And I remember like when you told, at least when you told me, you were so nervous about it and you were like shaking you because you why? What? Because you flew, but for some reason you were driving. You stopped by my house for a couple of days.
Yes, because okay, so my apartment, my lease ended, and we ended up going. My mom, we drove from Florida to DC to get my stuff. He
Okay.
sold it. He sold everything. First of all, everything I had in an apartment, from couches to Keurigs to took pictures of my family, makeup, bed, clothes, sold everything. So I went back to a very empty apartment with my clothes and bags, which was crazy. So then we did a road trip. So I drove from DC to Kentucky, dropped my mom off in Kentucky, then dropped my dad off in Cincinnati, and then drove to Atlanta, stayed with you and Sean. Then I drove from Atlanta to Miami. Yep.
Okay. So when you
Mhm.
went to get your stuff and you came on a road trip, you stopped by my house for a couple of
Yep.
days and stayed with
Yep.
me. And I still didn't fully know. Like you were like, "Hey, I'm moving to Miami out of nowhere. I'm about to move with my mom." And I was like, "Okay, support." And then you had came to my house
Looking a hot
with
mess.
like 3 pounds of things that are legal, things that are very legal.
Yeah. Yeah. If I would have got pulled
Hey,
over, I would have got in so much trouble.
girl,
That's all I can say.
girl, girl, literally opened up your truck. Was like, "What's happening? Why are we?
Mhm.
Are we moving? Are we
I
moving?"
just I was a different person. My sense of caring was just zero. I'm telling you,
You came.
like the universe was with me around that time. God was with me around that time. Like, I mean, I was, you talk about being a child of God. He had his hand on me, like for real, because
Yeah,
y'all don't know the half of it.
but we chilled for a couple days before you told me I'm up here because I didn't know what happened. So I done took her to a nude painting, like a sipping paint, but it was a nude live models.
I still got
Yeah.
those pictures.
I,
I still got the pictures of us. Girl,
girl, this man, what did I call it?
it was a nude sipping paint.
No, no, they done got Mandingo to be our
Yes.
to be our model. And he walking
Yes.
over talking to us, and I'm just like, I just want to color. Like I'm trying to color. Gabby making full contact. Like this is great. Good for you. Good for you. Good for
Because
you.
I
I
want
never
to
knew
know
how
how you get in
popular.
something like this. I'm always curious. Like, how did you get in something like this?
Gabby just talking. He
Hmm.
just swinging in the wind
Just
right by my painting, and I'm just like, Gabby, please
what?
let him go. Please let him go. And he was just like, I bet you're popular. Anywho, and like, because again, I'm not knowing what's going on. And I remember after that feeling so bad because you let me know that night, later that night, like, hey, this is what happened. And I was like, I didn't mean to have that man's penis swing in your face, girl. You needed love. I am so sorry. I'm so, let's hug and go get some tea. Like, but
Just
I brought this up to say, like, afterwards, I remember us having a conversation later because you kind of start
mhm.
slowly telling all of us, like,
Yeah.
when you were going your road trip, that's when we all start to know. And you have such an outpouring of love. Like all of us was like, yo, it wasn't a girl, why'd you stay that long? Why? when you have people around you really love you, guys, if you're in a situation again, I know it feels like, well, I should keep this to myself because this shouldn't be
Mhm.
and then they're gonna be mad and say, how I let this do this. No, when you have supportive friends who love you, I can't talk about them other type of friends.
Okay.
Have supportive friends who love you. We want to figure out how we can be there, how we can support you, how we can check. Let us check in.
Mhm.
Let us, like Gabby said, and look, Gabby, you have such an amazing mom. But like Gabby was able to go from in a hospital to cool, we got you a flight. To okay, let's figure out how you gotta have stuff moved to okay, we're doing checkups. Are you made it there? Okay, what do you need? Do you when you were thinking about coming to Georgia, I remember being like, girl, let me call, let me see if we got a room at the agency. Like I was
Yeah, I
people
was
being like, you
it
can
was
stay with
serious.
me. You need a job. Okay, look, I could talk to my boss. Like you have people that want to be there to love you and support you.
Mhm.
We're so help bent, and not just on this one of like abuse or they think you won't leave, but when you are in a situation where you feel like I am stuck and it's hard to get out on my own, sometimes we want to keep that to ourselves, and sometimes you need your people.
It's true. And he'll and one thing he said that really got me that he definitely said is he did not think I had people that would come for me. I have a hell of a support team from my friends to my family. Like, and that just goes to show like I'm just a decent person. And you don't have to be a bad person. You have to just be a decent person. I'm a loving person. My friends know I love my friends to death. And let me tell you something. This girl right here, she don't play about me. And I do not play about her, but
Oh,
she for real does not play about me. And she will tell me like it is, whether I like it, whether I'm mad, whether I'm angry. It is what it is. We've had some very difficult conversations sometimes, but I appreciate that because not every friend is gonna hold you accountable.
yeah. So utilize your friends, especially when you feel like, okay, I can't, this is embarrassing. This is look, when you have again love and supporting people,
Hmm.
like but they got too much going on as a therapist. I hear this all the time when I have a client going through something really tough. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about our support. Not that just, they got a lot going on. And they gotta what is support of community if it's not to make sure I'm there for you when you need?
Hmm. Very true.
Maybe we need $1,000 to pay to help finish paying the rent. Okay, one person might not have it, but you'd be surprised how many people are like, okay, look, I'll do 80. Call Shauna. I know Shauna got some. Shauna probably do five. With different things, people want to try to support you. And my I
Yes.
don't got the rent, girl, but you can come stay on my couch when they evict you. Okay.
Okay. Like I say it all the time when I did not have a job and my friends had to literally pay to get my car fixed. It was three of y'all that gave me money to get my car fixed. And I'm grateful for that because I truly was in between trying to figure out stuff. Like, y'all don't know the half of it. Y'all heard it on the last episode because I think we talked about it, but not the last episode, but maybe a couple episodes. I don't know. But yeah, you really do got to have supportive friends, but also you have to be a good friend yourself. Like, don't get it twisted.
Yeah. So, okay, let's talk about why do people stay? Like when it starts
Mm.
a little bit obvious, they're like, hate this man hate me. And like he not even hiding it no more. Like he makes sure everybody know he hate me.
Yep.
Why do people stay? And I think one of the biggest ones is like there's this idea that it'll get better. They're like, oh, him hating me is a phase. Um, I know there was this great debate on, and I always try to prefix this with like, I have not been married. I've been engaged a time or two. I've been in long relationships, but like I have not been married. And so I don't know what I will do in a marriage. I will start with that. But me and Ashley talked about this when Michelle Obama was on that podcast. And she said, there was 10 years in my marriage. Like I did not like him. And I'm not a person, and especially now, I had my two, as a teenager, I think I had two relationships where I gave a lot more consideration and hope. But I'm not a person that's going to stick through with you, no 10, 5 years of being unhappy. You got a year
Oh my
and a half
God.
to figure it out if we marry.
Oh my God.
You got a year and a half to figure it out before I start moving assets. Um, I think there's this idea though of like if I suffer long enough, I'll be rewarded for my suffering.
Mhm.
And
Oh, that's deep.
the spoiler is maybe, but a lot of times you don't.
Mm-mm.
especially when they hate you. It's one thing to have suffer with someone who loves you, and it's just a hard time. There's things beyond y'all control. That's one thing. But when you're with someone who hates you, it doesn't get better.
It's not gonna get better at all. It's just not. It's just not.
In
It's
fact,
just
I
not.
think that is like one of the bigger ones. And then I think the other bigger ones is like for some people, you are used to mistreatment. If my mama never really treated me that great and my daddy never treated me that great, and honestly, every other person I've talked to in relationship I've been in hasn't been that great, then I might think this is just what's in the cards for me.
Very true. Very, 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 very true.
I might think love is pain. And if I feel like love is pain, then when other people are like, girl, I could never, it's like, well, this is all I know. I'm not y'all. I don't
The
guys that do the things that y'all get. This is what I get, and I'd rather get this than nothing.
mm, the you think it'll get better. Just one more that I really do think is a big thing that I think women in general. I,
Women
I,
and
spec-
got male listeners got 8% now.
I know, but I specify on women because sometimes more. I'm not hating on the men. I don't want y'all to think I'm a man hater because I'm definitely not. I'm a lover girl. Women tend to sometimes date men who are in survival mode. And I think that sometimes grows resent towards that person who has their stuff together, who's holding it together.
Mhm.
And I've not recently learned, but over time I've learned that you cannot date somebody in survival mode because it's just never gonna work.
Yeah.
That's
Never
that.
word. Especially if you are out of survival mode, it is going to be a rocky road for y'all.
Yeah.
You thank you for saying that. Because I had an experience recently where um there was somebody in my life who like I noted that. Um
Hmm.
it wasn't like a oh they hate you type situation, but like I noted like dang, you really do be dating women. Like they always date highly educated women with their shit together.
Hmm.
They're not, highly educated and they did not have their shit together. And I was just cool with them. But like I noted that. I noted that and I kept being like, I kept wondering, like, why does it never work with shooties when you have had probably one of the best rosters of any man I know? Like you get baddie after baddie, and they're not like airheads, they're smart and they're
Hmm.
intelligent, their career is on the rock. And I'm like, what is happening? And you just made something click in my head, like, oh, because he's always in survival mode. Because he's not a horrible person, but he is always in survival mode. And it just
Hmm.
like, oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's why it never because these girls be head over heels for him, crazy for him.
It's never gonna
It just
work.
never works. And I'm like, why?
Mm-mm.
You got a lineup that can rival some of y'all's favorite like actors, like some of y'all favorite the people y'all like, nah, they always pull the baddest. Like, no, you gotta check out my homeboy. Cause that's who he pulling too. Like he's pulling that level of like, not famous, but regular, just
Hmm.
gorgeous, intelligent, amazing women. And you just made that click for me. Now I gotta go send this to him and let him be mad. Like this.
He goes, oh my
The
god. She said, I
euphoria
gotta go send this to
gift.
him. Let him be
That's
bad.
the euphoria gift of Maddie being like, is this fucking play about me?
But it's the truth. Like, we tend to sometimes have false hope, and false hope is a thing. And I am a girl who will sometimes get the Lulu, and I will be in the Lulu land. And I don't stay in the Lulu land no more. I'm more realistic these days. But you can't live there because it's never going to be what you want it to be. It's just not. I'm not sticking around to have you try to figure your life out. Figure your life out on your own time. Don't waste my time because what is the one thing we cannot get back? Time. It's just the truth. We don't have a lot of it on this earth. I want to use every waking moment doing things that I want to do with people who I love, with people who appreciate me, and with the man who loves me, appreciates me, all that. I want it all. I don't want to spend time on somebody who's wasting my time because I can't get that 5 minutes back. I can't even get them 60 seconds back. I'm good. You got it. I have to tell myself that, sometimes because
Yeah.
I myself can be a toxic one.
And I just want to actually super point that out for my people who are natural caregivers, especially my people in caregiving careers, my social workers, my therapists, my counselors, my nurses, the way that and I'm not even talking to just the women. One of my favorite male social workers, the way he loved himself a build a bear bitch is ridiculous. The way that the minute he start talking to me about a woman, and I'd be like, does this one have her kids? No, they're in defects custody again. Yeah, I know, you're gonna help her get it back. I know. Such a good
I
guy.
feel that
Um,
breakage.
the way every time he'd be like,
Oh
I'm
my
in
God.
love. I'm like, what's wrong with her?
I know y'all gonna listen to this and be like, oh, y'all was acting a fool. Y'all was acting a fool today.
But no, and not even that, like, no, myself too. And like, and this is something this was a conversation I had to have with myself
Because social workers,
a
some say
couple
social
times
workers
over the
love to
years.
build up somebody. Sorry, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
No, we do. And like, this is a conversation I had to have with myself a couple times because I think for me, the thing I got with it was like, no, I don't do that because I was dating men who are lawyers and doctors and, had really good jobs and stuff. I'm like, he's not built a bear. Emotionally, they always were. Yeah, he had it together
Well,
financially. Yeah, he might have had it together in his career. Yeah, he might have. Emotionally, though,
we are so opposite. Oof.
I know. I know.
We're like,
The way you like 30-year-old YNs, the way that a 30-year-old YN attracts you, every single man, look.
because I definitely date the drug dealers and the athletes
I
who
know.
are semi emotionally available, but they pockets is,
Yeah, no. The way I date the like corporate villains. The way I would see a tall, tatted, bearded, highly educated man with a good job that's like about to do an industry takeover, and I'd be like, he just is misunderstood. Okay, all right. He yeah, thousands will lose his home, and I'm gonna talk him out of it. I'm gonna talk him out of it. No. The way I like a
and
corporate villain, it needs to be studied. So I hear you. It's we both have
when
our things. We
girl,
both
I was
have
about
our
to say, you remember talking about he's a lawyer, and I'm like, and the way I'm in court because my boyfriend's on parole and he got caught doing something that he didn't have no business. And I'm like, what?
look the
Oh,
way. Don't get me
the
wrong.
light.
I've had a couple. I've had one that was at Rice Street regularly. I had one. Sorry, the Fulton County Jail. I definitely dated one that like I was walking into Fulton County, he was walking out, and I'm like, bro, what is we doing? What are you talking about? But no, usually, yeah, no, usually.
Eventually, we'll, if we can, have another episode about who
Only
I'm
me and you
confused.
can do it.
But
You're the only ones that's gonna be honest about our time. But no, I want to talk on the male side of this because again, I got some homeboys who also like challenges. The way I usually see it with my homeboys is like they like women they have to save. So for you, and I think it's true for a lot of women that struggle with liking challenges, they kind of like the asshole, the arrogant, but he's special. Treats me different
it's a
type of men.
dominance thing.
And the men, I feel like they like women they have to save. It's a thing.
No man ever came to save me.
Here's the reoccurring pattern I've seen with that is like then they resent the women for needing to be saved,
Yep, very true.
especially because they have homegirls who are like doing a damn thing. Like, and then so at first it's like it's fun, it's a challenge, you just need to be saved. I feel like a hero. Da, da, da. I'm sure it goes back to mother issues and wishes someone saved their mom. We're not gonna get into that in this episode. That's another episode. But it usually ends with like resentment because then it's like, dang, you can't do nothing on your home.
Mm.
Dang, you need me for everything. Dang, you don't know better. You ain't got no home train. Like it's like I see that like the pattern is resentment. I want to save you, then I resent you for needing me to save you all the time. But I think it's more so a matter of recognizing that you should not be dating for projects. If you want a project, let it be a hobby. It should not be your partner. And
Yep.
I'm saying not to say I have not done it. Oh, again. feeling the need to be like, oh, I can fix that. And I think again, sometimes for some of us, that's just our natural personality. It's not just in relationships. For some of us, like that's what we do for our friends. That's what we do for
Yeah,
our families. Like that's what for some of us, that's what we do for our whole profession. And so it's very easy to just be like, this is what I do. It's fine. It's come naturally. However, you deserve breaks. And
very true.
I'm a big believer that your partner should feel like my respite from the world. You should feel
Mm,
like the
mm,
place
mm.
that I have peace at. You should not feel like the place I keep going to try to create peace.
Very true.
I mean, because the thing is, at the end of the day, you deserve to be with someone who actually likes you. Like, okay, how do you know? Like, okay, but what if it's hard for me to figure it out if he likes you? Do you find yourself wanting to hide things about what's going on with y'all on a regular basis from y'all friends because you know how it sounds?
Mm, mm, mm.
You know how it sounds. And you maybe you're like, I don't know, but okay, but when you find yourself hiding stuff, why?
Oh, that's deep. I say that's very deep. So you break the cycle. If you realize you're dating someone who hates you, what's next? What can you possibly do? Stop making excuses. If
Mhm,
they don't treat you well, that's all you need to know. Address it directly. Ask yourself, am I happy here? Do I feel loved? If the answer is no, then that's your sign. Make a plan to leave. If they won't change and you're not happy, you owe it to yourself to walk away.
mhm,
And I'm just going to emphasize on that one a little bit because I think sometimes people really are scared to walk away because they're scared of the unknown. They're scared they can't afford it. They're scared, like, it could be financial, it could be all types of crazy reasons. But go back to the make a plan. I always say, I'm one of the people, I will sleep on the floor just for my peace. That's just me.
or
But some people really need that comfort of, let me make a plan, let me financially get together, and then I'll leave. That's okay too. That's okay too. You just got to figure out what best works for you and how to execute your own plan. And then finally, heal the part of you that accepted this. Because if you don't, you'll find another person who also secretly hates you, and you don't need a sequel. And you don't need a sequel to this mess. Or you don't need to be a sequel, add a sequel. How can I say this? From my own experience, jumping from relationships is not good.
mhm,
I jumped from 3 different men in a span of a year and a half.
mhm,
That's crazy. I didn't allow myself any time to heal from the person who had a baby on me, to the emotionally abusive person who I lived with, to him, to another man saving me from that relationship going to another one. Where was the time where I healed myself? I didn't.
and yours also
So
escalated. It went from okay, a liar, and then it was like
yeah.
move on to the liar. So I moved to someone who's emotionally abusive. Then it went from okay, I'm with someone who's emotionally abusive, someone that is physically abusive.
Yes.
That's a perfect example of like if you don't
Hmm.
heal, it will just ante up. You'll just keep
Yes.
the same cycle, except for it usually antes up.
It does. It does. It does. It does.
And you know me, I'm such a big believer. I am a huge believer in time alone. And I know some of that is just like my own personality, but like
Hmm.
I'm a big believer, like as an adult, you need to have at least a year of your adult life where you have been single. And the reason
Yeah.
I say this, because I know that for some of us, it's like, "Girl, I'm chronically single. What are you talking about? I've been single most of my adult." But there also are so many of us who haven't. Like the minute one person is gone, you got a good 3 month period before I can
Yeah.
get taken again. And it's just a cycle that repeats itself. And with that cycle, you just tend to carry on baggage. You have to one, get to know who you are because one,
Yes.
you're different as an adult than you were as a teen. And then
Hmm.
also, as you continue to age and get older, you're a different person through your different experiences. 21-year-old you is not going to be the same as 25-year-old. It shouldn't. 25-year-old you is not going to be the same as 30-year-old you. It shouldn't. 30-year-old you is not
Yeah.
going to be the same as 35-year-old you, and 35-year-old you is not going to be the same as 40 and 45. You go through these changes and differences.
Mhm.
However, if I don't heal and I don't get to know who I am, then I will be attracted to the same mess, even though I've outgrown it.
That's good you said that because most people don't know. When I moved to Miami, I got in another relationship very quickly. But I will say this, the difference with that relationship, because we did stay together for almost 2.5 years. The difference with that one is it was love. Like, it was what I needed at the time, but I personally became the abused becomes the abuser. I never thought that was a thing, but I was very guarded and I was very slick with my words. But that man loved me, loved me, never yelled at me, cherished me. And I do believe that is what I needed at the time.
Yeah.
But when I look back, I should have just stayed single and allowed myself to keep going to therapy and just heal that part of myself that was broken.
And it's hard. I think, it can be
It
very
is.
hard, because a lot of times you feel, one, I think a lot of us, as we're talking about like raising children and so forth, one of the things I try to implement, and it's again, my baby is a lot like me in certain ways, but very different from me in other ways. And it's very hard because I have to learn new ways of teaching because there's certain things that for me, I'm very
She
much
keeps
was
you
a
on your
child.
toes.
She keeps me on my toes. I very much was a child that all you had to do, like, is tell me it's gonna hurt. And I'm like, oh, cool. Won't do that. Like, I was very good at learning vicariously. I didn't need things to happen to me to learn. My baby is very much one that's like, no, let me touch the fire so I can figure out why.
That's me.
Yes.
That's me.
And
Yep.
it's very hard for me to understand that mindset. And so it's very hard. But I'm saying all this, bringing this up to say, like, conscious parenting, I think it's so important to try to parent consciously because one of the things I recognize in our generation, Gen X, millennial generation, is that we're taught how to survive and we're not really taught how to live fulfilling lives. And what I mean by that is a lot of us are taught like how to escape things that are painful instead of how to process. A lot of
Mm,
us are taught how to um, get ourselves out of situations, but like not how to avoid situations.
yeah.
I think one of the reasons we have such an influx of people who are like, "How do I heal?" I go to the next person. That's how I heal. I get over it by getting somebody else instead of process.
Yep.
Because we haven't had, our parents didn't sit us down and used to tell us, "Hey, it's important to learn yourself. It's
Yeah.
important to be alone. Hey, some things are sad and you have to just sit in that sadness. Don't try to escape the sadness because escaping the sadness just brings you a different type of sadness."
Very true. Say that, Rest.
And I'm like, no, because I think that's what happens when you don't know how to process and you think of the process as something big and scary to avoid, then I just get myself in more trouble.
Yep.
Instead of being alone, I just go from person to person. I
Very true.
never learn me, and so I never learned my lesson. And so I spent all my 20s learning very painful lessons. Don't get me wrong, 20s is for learning, but it doesn't always have to be painful.
It does not. It does not. And
But yeah, learning how to process stuff so you don't end up in the same situation. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, I think we have to learn. And I think sometimes you tell people that it's like when you talk to people about celibacy, where you're like, "Hey, take a year to not have sex and see how much your life changes." And people are like, "No."
Let me tell you something. At this big age, that's the last thing I'd be worried about. I'm going to bed because I'm tired. I'm tired.
Look, look, I am such an advocate for people taking time to do celibacy, and you can do what works for you. I always think a year is a good enough time because I feel like, especially if you're a person who's very sexually active, 6 months, the first 6 months of you just mad. You're just angry. It's just you're trying to find loopholes. Like technically we do this, that doesn't count, right? Like it can be very frustrating. So I always recommend like try to do a year, even if you just do it once in your life to gain some clarity, to gain some reason. Because let me tell you, the way you will recognize, oh shoot, I just be doing stuff for validation. The way you recognize why you there's sometimes you don't even know some of the things you're doing is a problem and then you take away certain things like sex and you recognize like, "Oh, crap, I was using that as a coping skill. Oh, yeah, I was using that for validation.
You will be
Oh,
so
my
clear-headed. You be
self-esteem is
like,
in the trash." You just start recognizing so much about the way you move and operate.
yep, very true. And you end up seeing people for who they are. You are not in Lululand. Like that you are just not delusional. You be like, let me go on because you wasting my time. Like straight up. Like you be like, can I come lay with you tonight? Absolutely not. Like you're homeless. No. Like no. Crazy. Like, mm-mm.
But like Gabby said, yeah, make a big part of this too when you recognize you're with someone who low key hates you. It's so important that you learn how to leave. For some of us, it's never very natural. We get a tingle, our spidey senses start going off, and we like, yeah,
And women's intuition is real. Like, listen to it.
women's intuition is very, very real. Oh, yeah, but make a plan to leave, and the reason why I wanted to really emphasize make a plan to leave is because sometimes I think people let life happen to them, and they say,
Mhm.
"Well, if it's the way, if that's what God wants for me, if that's what the universe wants for me, then it would just open this door." And it would just and so we just let so much time waste because we don't make action. We don't plan an exit.